not taking no kind of tests. Nothing.
Yeah, we can't talk about that on here, bro.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
No, we can't. Obviously, you know what it is. I should have patterned you earlier. Still, it's not your fault, man. But you
Sorry,
see,
man. Certain
anything
current
to do
affairs.
with, anything to do with health or anything, we can't even talk about that because how they're saying it is that because we're not qualified, we're spreading misinformation. It's mad. Yo, big up Double D TV, yeah. The link's up there if you want to jump on. It's up the top there.
But those that know, they know, innit?
Yeah, they know. The world's waking up. I was telling someone the other day, like the woke community is crazy on TikTok right now. People are waking up all over the place. But Shifa, you want to start this off and let the people know what sparks your interest with this, these fake mini gods and, you know? Is he there? Yes, people, big up yourself. Make sure you hit the like button. But yeah, what do you think about that Kanye situation?
Yeah, the Kanye thing's mad still. The Kanye thing is actually mad. Apparently he tried to do an apology.
Oh, he's done an apology now, like a proper apology, like.
Apparently, I saw something pop
up. No, because I thought it was Nori that done the apology.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's apology. Yeah, you're right. It was Nori. My bad. I got confused there. You're right. I'm glad you pulled me up on that. If I put some misinformation out there.
Yeah, I haven't spoke to you about that. We haven't.
Why did Nori issue an apology though? Have you seen this apology? Talk to me.
Yeah, I actually put it up on the channel. It was a strange apology. Because I don't really know what he's apologizing for because he didn't say anything. He just was the channel that it was on. It was on his podcast. There was someone else talking. So me personally, I don't know. I think it was it's obviously to do with money and business. You know what I mean?
Well, you think he got the word from higher up?
Most definitely, or he wouldn't have said nothing. You know what I'm saying? The stupid thing about it was Kanye said something about Diddy in it, and the actual Drink Champs is on Revolt, which is run by Diddy in it. So he's calling them the feds and calling Meat Mill the feds.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but at the same time, though, like it's not absolutely dumbfounded to think that that could be a possibility.
No doubt.
You know, like that. Like we know they got what do they call them? Industry plants and things like this, where they'll literally put someone somewhere with the intention of getting in with a particular crowd.
But wouldn't you say they do the same thing in business?
100 in everything.
Yeah. There's an agenda to follow. Your reasoning, yo, Rascal, big up yourself. Long time no see. And if you want to jump on as well, Rascal, the link's up there. Let me put the link down again still. I did message Boxy Rascal, but if you got better communication, let her know. Who was on the Piers Morgan show?
Oh yeah, Kanye was on Piers Morgan, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he was arguing with Piers. I saw that video somewhere.
So what was that, after Drink Champs or before?
I think that must have been afterwards. I'd assume so.
But he was arguing, but yeah, Piers argues with everyone, doesn't he?
100. He loves it, man.
Yeah, that's his thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit like that myself as well. Like, but in certain occasions, sometimes it's good to listen as well and just take in information as well, especially if you don't know about something. I try not to present any argument till I know a bit, you know, like that.
I think that's what Piers' problem is. He's a bit emotionally driven. Sometimes he don't really think and assess the situation. He kind of just feels. And a man that's in his feelings is not always right, you know what I mean? Or his argument is not really solid. So that's the next tip for certain people. Don't be in your feelings, you know what I mean? Being emotionally driven, you can't really trust your emotions. You need to think it out properly. That's how you overcome. And when I look at my guy, certain times he just looks like a child, you know what I mean? He'd be arguing, and it's like he's just putting too much of what he feels in an argument rather than just dealing with what's at hand. That's why I don't like that guy, you know what I mean? It's a bit too biased for me, man.
And it's good that you say that, because, you know, I had a conversation about this whole thing of inserting feelings into a logical conversation where there's actual information to be deciphered, but we're just going to go on how we feel about the situation. You know, that can be detrimental.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, be careful.
You know, you can't trust your feelings. Today I might be happy, but then later on someone might upset me, and that's a different feeling right there. So for me to base certain things on feelings, you know what I mean? You're shooting yourself in the foot before you even start, because you can't really evaluate them things. You can't look back and learn from that. You know, when you apply critical thinking to whatever it is you do, you can go back and retrace your steps. You know what I mean? You can learn from certain things, but all that emotional things there, man, people get too carried away with it, and they say things that they end up regretting, or say things that just look bad on them, you know what I mean? Even though their intentions might have been good. So it's always good to just be focused and apply critical thinking, you feel me?
Yeah, 100, man, 100. I think also, you know, it will give you a better overlook of whatever or oversight of what you're looking at, you know, and you won't be prone to mistakes.
Definitely.
If your emotions are in check.
I think that's the people's biggest problems. They don't look at themselves. They're quick to judge other people, but they're not looking at themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely important to look inwards as well. And to obviously, like I said, I think a lot of the times when people make an argument, like you said, it may be based on an emotion, it may be based on something they just heard from someone else, but you haven't checked the information and verified it, and, you know, done some type of study or got any type of intellectual information to base your argument upon. And it becomes
but even when you look at it on a basic level, though, because, you know, as some people, they love to bad up their loved ones, and you think to yourself, oh, hold on a minute, like, you forget quick, even their parents and things. I look at certain people when I was younger, and they would talk to their parents some type of way, and it's like, hang on a minute, you know, like, certain people that grow up in a proper real family, you just can't deal with them things there regardless. Even if you wanted to, your parents will bad you up in it, like, that can't run. Your parents ain't having that. But you see certain parents that are loose, and it's like the youth them just go on like they don't care, and it's even like they're showing off because they're doing it in front of you. Whereas to me, that's even worse. Like, you can't be talking to your people some type of way in front of people. But that's, again, that kind of emotional things where you're allowing yourself to get carried away in a situation where it shouldn't even get to that. Because we've all done certain things where we said certain things to people, and you end up regretting it later down the line. Whereas if you applied certain thinking, it wouldn't even have had to got to that. You feel me? But that's life, man. That's how it goes.
We're definitely all guilty of that at some point or another in life. And, you know, I think we can make allowances. We can have off days, innit? But it's when we get to the point of, you know, some people thinking that behavior is actually okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's when we're at that point and we're not checking ourselves anymore. That's where I think, you know, things can become a bit dangerous. Because, like, we're not going to like it if someone checks us about our behavior. So I think it's important we check ourselves and make sure that we're, you know, in a good stead with the continuity of the world around us, you know, and obviously also being the change that we want to see, because I don't just want to live in the world and, you know, see certain things going on that I disagree with and keep my mouth shut. Where I'm coming from.
Yes, I agree, brother. And that's the thing, especially as being of ethnic origin, yeah, you have to always be conscious and aware of yourself, your behavior, your body language, how you articulate yourself, because people are watching and they're always trying to drag man down. So if you're talking from an emotional point of view, even though, as I said before, you might have something right that you're trying to get across, because you're coming across angry or aggy, or you're not even articulating yourself right, people are looking at you badly. But when you apply critical thinking and you speak to a man, you break it down, you say, look, I'm not being passive aggressive, because they love to drop them kind of things to brothers, you know what I mean? Oh, why are you being passive aggressive? No, I'm just responding to you. I'm defending myself. This is the situation. You just be clear and let people know, because a lot of people don't do that shit, bro. Excuse my language. A lot of people don't do them things, and that's how they end up in trouble. You're working hard, breaking your back in a job, and then someone upsets you, and then you kick off. But instead of kicking off the right way, you say a couple things, and it ends up kicking you in the back. You know what I mean? You said, hang on a minute, I didn't even start this beef, but I'm the one that's getting scolded for it. So a lot of the times, as you said before, Schiffer, we have to check ourselves, because even though you say you're trying to fight the right cause, there's enough people out to get you that's trying to put you down, that's trying to mess you up. So if you ain't got yourself in check and you ain't got your certain things about you, it's just curtains, bro. You know how this world works, man. It's not easy for a lot of people out here. Enough people are struggling, especially this time now as the weather's getting cold. You just have to think about your things, think about what you want and where you're going, and try to be smart about it, because there's a lot of people moving stupid out here, bro. Big man moving foolish.
Believe that. But then in another respect, I still look at it like this, in the sense of, I don't like making excuses for people, but sometimes not everyone's privy to the same information or the same life experience, innit? So
definitely.
Once I get into it like that, I think that certain things are necessities of society, like think tanks. You know,
that's the thing, you know, everyone's levels are always going to be different, and I agree with what you're saying, but we all have to start from somewhere, and you have to take responsibility for your actions. Yeah, you can't make excuses for that. You can't put that on someone else. You have to be responsible for you. So at the end of the day, if you're applying critical thinking and you're trying to do things in a way that's going to work for you, then that's the way forward, isn't it? If you're just kicking off and shouting and screaming and throwing your dummy out, then fine, you might even have a point, but it's not getting you nowhere. And that's what a lot of brothers seem to forget. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got an ego. Yeah, you want to shout and kick off, but is that really getting you where you need to be? Sometimes you just need to observe a situation. Think about what your next play is going to be like. It's chess. You know what I mean? And figure it out properly. How are you slipping in this day and age? We're big man. You have to think about your movements, bro. I'm just saying, like, generally, black and white, whether it's a work setting, whether it's your family setting, in all of these different situations, that applies. Discipline makes life easy. And I think these, especially with the millennials, they don't have no discipline. None at all.
Do you know, you see, when you say that, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, you see, whatever generation you was from, you see, like if you was born in medieval times, yeah, there were certain disciplines that they would have had that we wouldn't have had. They would have seen
of course,
and not being able to do certain things. So once we put that in perspective now, I think
you're so right, brother. Every generation will look at the future generation and think, what the hell are these youngsters doing? Because I'm sure our parents in that generation looked at us and thought, these youngsters done lost their mind. Because I know we was wild when we was young still, but it's just the way it's just the way it goes, bro. It's just the way it goes.
You see, the further you rewind time back, the more that becomes a point. Because, like I was saying, if we go back to medieval times, you know, it was normal for a man to know how to use an axe. You know, like that.
To forge a sword and then madness.
Do you understand? To gather.
But the scary thing is about that shit, for what you're saying about going backwards. When you look at history and you look at, say, our grandparents and the parents before that and the parents before that, yeah, there was a time when we weren't living in this place, and we lived a different way, and we ate a different way, and we did certain things a different way. And when you look at the generations that come afterwards, they only like take on a percentage of that. So there's always history being lost over the generations. So me and you, we only know, say, 60% of what our parents taught us, or 60% of whatever. There's going to be bits lost. It's inevitable. It has to happen. So when you look at the later generation, It's like they don't know nothing about themselves. They know everything, but don't know nothing, bro. They don't stand for nothing. They got no morals, no values. And I know I'm kind of saying that broadly, and I'm not trying to cast all these youngsters as negative and bad, because I know that there's plenty of good kids out there, and I'm not trying to portray that as that, because I know that, as I said, there's good parents out there, black fathers and black mothers, they matter. And those that are doing good, keep doing what you're doing, because it needs to be done. But we can't ignore what's going out on the streets, saying, wait, kids are killing each other, kids are doing foolishness. And it's like, come on, man. It's 2022.
Yo, salute, man. Like, that's a jump on. Now, Bobby, see what you're saying there, yeah? About you were saying that they feel like they've got nothing to live for, innit? Like, the morals are completely gone with the youth, them. And you're right, bro. It's like, do you walk up on some of these and ask them what they want to do with their life?
Yeah, it's scary, bro.
You get some crazy,
some different responses, you know what I mean?
Different
some
responses.
kids.
Yo, salute, Trip to Milati live, man.
Yeah, salute, brother. Salute, Jedi, man.
Man, I'm coming back. Give me 2 minutes, yeah, because I'm loving how the way we're chopping it up still, and we still need to get to the main topic. I know I've just been going on a rant, but we'll get to that.
That's what we do anyway.
Give me 2 minutes.
That's how it usually goes.
Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
All right, man. Say nothing.
Well, yeah, man. I think we are definitely right in saying the youth of today are less disciplined, but I think the argument to be had and to be explored here, from my perspective anyway, is, you know, looking back in time and seeing how our great grandfathers would have looked at us, and if they would have looked at us as undisciplined, then understanding we're going into a digital age, innit? So there was a time where everything was physical, and them man are going to see us as undisciplined because they was a lot more physical. Do you know, like that? There was a time where there weren't no police. Ain't no boy them.
Yeah, but what about technology though, Shift? Because technology keeps moving though at the same time.
That's right. So now that technology is at a stage now where, if you say, for instance, now, back in the day, if you wanted to buy a guitar didn't cost that much. If you wanted to buy a oak wood table or whatever it was, it costed a lot, but it didn't cost that much. The prices of these things have gone astronomical, brother.
Crazy.
So if you want anything that's real now, you know, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. If you want the digital version, 9 times out of 10 you can have that for free. But you got to buy the software and the hardware to upload the software. Sorry, let me get that the right way around, and then you're good to go in it. So that's how they've put everyone in boxes, in it. It's the software, like just the hardware and the software. Like I was watching this thing about Chinese people, yeah, the super factory. Do you know about the super factory? Yeah.
No, what's that?
So they got a thing called the super factory. I don't know if I don't
know what you just done, but I can hear you so much clearer now.
I just moved the microphone closer to my mouth. I realized my bubble. But yeah, now I was saying that yeah, they got something called the super factory, but I don't know if there's a video on it that we could find and look at it and get a better breakdown. But long story short, the people.
Well, they got their clothes in there or something. What's the super factory?
Brother, I mean, they never leave the factory. They got schools in the factory. They got shops in the factory. They live in the factory. They live in they got. Brother, I see a man. I swear he was going to sleep in a drawer. It was like a drawer, and a man just jumps into the drawer, and he's got a little TV built into the ceiling. Brother, I mean the drawer, like a massive drawer, like a massive, big size drawer, and he's got like, I don't know, a mattress or whatever in there. He jumps in there, and the ceiling's kitted out with his computer. He puts on his headphones, and he's in his box, Matrix.
Yeah, there might as well be an AI robot.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because that's what I said. That is Matrix for real. That's mad.
Bro, that is crazy. So what are you saying then? So what? I bet they're getting paid peanuts too, innit?
Well, they get paid. Yeah, they get paid. Not a lot.
Because think about it, you're saying that everything's there put for them, so they don't have to go nowhere, innit?
yeah, after they've been there for X amount of time, it enables them to save X amount of money, and then they get X amount of retirement and redundancy or whatever they get. So they've got it worked out in it for them. It's maybe they feel like it's working. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with them. If it works for them, it's not my place to argue with it. But as far as this whole digital stuff, it's not real, and this is the only issue I have with it. It's not real, and people are getting used to fantasy more than reality, and I think
that the authentic, yes, mad.
Yeah, this is something I find to be a bit dangerous in the sense of, not saying everyone has to be like a tree hugger and at one with nature to an extent, but to an extent, yeah, you do have to be at one with nature. I'll take that one back and say to an extent, we have to, let the planet, you don't have to be a full-on tree hugger, innit? But you have to let the planet do its thing as well. I'm trying to say we can't just build up everywhere and make everything digital. It's not practical. Do you feel where I'm coming from? And even like people sitting in that indoors all day or working in a factory all day, then you go and sleep in a drawer and you're stuck to a screen. Where's the exercise time? Where's the certain, like that, and fresh air and going to the park and just, I don't know, no, but to them maybe that's normal. But to me, that's like, I'm from here, so I only know what I know here, and I'm allowed a certain amount of freedom to create, my own style of living, if that makes sense.
So he was born in a different age, though, Shifa.
No, but these men in the super factory are now. These are Chinese people now, and when I say a man is sleeping in a massive drawer with a screen built into the ceiling, I mean like. I couldn't, me personally.
The screen built into the ceiling,
brother. Listen, I'm saying, yeah. Imagine you're lying on your back in a drawer, yeah, and you're looking up, and there's a screen, yeah. Now that means you don't even have to move, cause not even an inch. I would just fall asleep. Even if I was watching a movie, I'm out. I'm going. These men are that's it, and then back to work in the morning. It's the perfect setup for the for the continuity of your workers and keeping everyone in check. Like the CCTV in there probably and everything, and the kids go to school. You don't even have to watch them go to school. You don't have to be scared because it's all in the factory. Everything's in one place. But the kids are going to leave school and go straight into working in the factory. So it's almost like a farming system. I don't know. I don't know how to. How do you look at that? Talk to me.
That sounds like jailhouse to me, bro.
Brother, it sounds mad. You come out of the school and you're straight in the factory.
So what age is you talking about? What age is you talking about, bro?
I mean, like the whole family lives in the factory.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but that's like that is going back in time. Like if your name was Carpenter, that meant that like your dad was a carpenter, you're going to be a carpenter, your son's going to be a carpenter, and all them foolishness. If you was a smith, that means that you was a blacksmith. You know what I mean? And your dad was a blacksmith, you're a blacksmith, your kid's a black. That's how it run back in the days, bro. So if you come from that kind of, I don't know what you want to call that, culture, whatever that is, you know what I mean? Because certain people, they do their things different. Then maybe that would be okay for certain people. They say, you know what, this is what I'm destined to do. My dad's a goat herder, so I'm going to be a goat herder. So I might as well go to goat herding school and step up my game. Then that's what they're aspiring to be. You know what I mean? It's a strange one. When people conform in that kind of way, it's, as I said, it's a questionable thing because it's not an individual thing as such. It's almost like a cult because there's a bag of people doing it. So how can you really put you can't really say nothing because, as I said, it's more than just one person doing it. It's like a system, and it's weird.
Right.
But you see, in one way though, brother, as well, yeah. I'm not gonna look at everything as negative, innit? I've heard about it, I've seen it, and I know to me it doesn't sound like something that I'd be into. It don't sound normal to my standards. But from the perspective of, the people of that region who live in the super factory, I'd imagine that crime is low because you go to work. The most crime that's gonna happen is someone got into a squabble at work or school.
What you got to remember is a system that works is a working system, and That's all you can really say about it. If it was a system that didn't work, then that's different. But if you've got a system that works, whether or not people can earn their money, they don't have to worry about other means of working. They can just stay in this thing and guaranteed a salary or whatever it is, a retirement money, something. Otherwise, why would you do it? There's got to be some kind of perks, as you said. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. You know, certain man back in the days, they say, "Oh, I won't get out of bed for a rare tear," but then all the Europeans come and started taking them jobs. They had to change and say, "Actually, I better get out of my bed," because they're not looking to say, "All right, then we'll pay you this." They're saying, "No, we'll get the European guy to do it." Then what? You have to say, "All right, I take on that work," innit? So them trader man that used to go on like they were bad and want to extort man for work, they know, say that a next man would do it for half the price and probably do a flipping better job. So, you know what I mean? It's all swings and roundabouts, bro. Whatever floats your boat, you're gonna do, innit?
You see what I think that the argument this highlights, though, is the wealth, the divide with the you know, the 1% or the 3%. I don't even know what I think it is 1%, isn't it? Yeah, and the masses. Do you feel what I'm trying to say? Because you see that, for instance, now, if we talk about like being British or the American dream or whatever you want to call it, like you expect to be able to earn enough money to take a holiday, to do certain things other than just look at a screen every day. Do you feel where I'm coming from? So I think from a Western perspective, that's why it seems a bit tragic. But from the perspective of those people, if they feel like, you know what, those people who are above them are, you know, I don't know, they deserve to retain more of the country's wealth than they do. If they actually feel that way, who am I to tell them? You know, because when we look at British people, you know, they've got a monarchy system, they've got a system of hierarchy.
It's about managing expectations, because if you live in a place where you don't know how people are living in another place, you just got to get on with what's on your plate. Then you got to manage your expectation. You know, when we're kids, it's nice to daydream and think about having loads of money and all sorts of foolishness. But when you get older, you realize you have to work. If you want money, you have to do stuff. You have to get busy or do something, because the money ain't going to just fall in your lap. You ain't going to wake up and the dream come true. So, you know, when you manage your expectations in life, whether or not you come from a wealthy lifestyle and you have to manage the 10 grand a month allowance your parents give you, or you're slumming it out and you have to manage the rations you have, like, it's still about managing your expectations of your life, because life is survival. And if you're surviving or moaning about surviving on, you know, that 50-cent thing, you were saying, "Oh, my dad gave us X amount, XYZ, and that weren't enough," when we all know as hood kids, we would have been we'd have flipped that 10 times over and been, "All right." He said, "Dad, all you need is one payment of that." He's moaning about monthly payments. So again, managing expectation. You know, if you come from a rough area, we've seen them things there where they showed you them videos of you having to walk miles for dirty water, bro. Not even clean water. He's walking miles for dirty water, but he needs that to survive, and you have to use that same way. So if you don't know no better, you're not going to skin up your nose and say, "Oh, the water's dirty." You're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to try strain it out, or do what you have to do. Boil him, do what you have to do. I've been under pressure enough times where it's like, boy, I run out of gas, you know. But I'm not going to not wash. I have to boil a kettle and wash my skin, innit? Like, the gas is gone, but I've got electric. You have to do something, bro.
So you don't get your thinking,
Yeah, come on, man. We all hit up certain situations, but you get on with it. It's a survival game.
Whole of fresh.
You have to do something, guy. You can't go to work or get up and your mouth nasty. You have to do something, innit? If you ain't got toothpaste, you say, "Right, let me just draw for the mouthwash and brush my teeth with that." You know what I mean? You have to do something. So if we know little hardship, them man, they have it hard. They're still living though, isn't it? So they're trying to do something. They're trying to survive. And that's the end game. If I know, say, that rich mans are living it up, I'm not concerned or focusing on that. I'm focusing on how I'm going to eat tonight and like the real stuff, innit? The things that are important. How's my kids gonna, or whatever it is that I have to worry about.
I totally
Say that again?
I definitely see your point, and it's not. This isn't a refute of your point. I just wanted to point
Yeah,
something out though. Like you've got like for instance, British people that love their monarchy, and yeah, they love having people ruling over them. They love that. Do you get where I'm going with this? So once you've got a certain mindset of people who they enjoy being ruled over. You know, they'll cry if something happens to their monarchy or their ruler. Do you understand? Now what we've got is a situation where some of us are agreeing that a small percentage of us should have all of the wealth. The rest of us aren't necessarily agreeing, but ain't necessarily got a big enough mouth to say anything about it. And I think even what we're talking about now kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about in the show, really, with like worship. I'm preparing, like when we talk about worship in the sense of deities, then yeah, when we talk about worship in the sense of a deity, what we're
yeah.
talking about is reverence. And all of these people, you know, when we're calling them kings, queens, whatever, are we not giving them a lot of reverence? And all of these people who support that, is there not a lot of reverence in that, like swearing allegiance, bowing? And do you feel where I'm coming from? When people
Of
die,
course.
making statues and X, Y, Z, and
Idolatry, fam. Idolatry.
yeah, and I think in my personal opinion, I think a lot of this and the whole existence of deities is very I believe there must be, most probably is a link between them. I can't say absolutely because you know I can't speak for every deity, but I'd say I'd assume there could be a link.
Well, you got to look at faith as a broad spectrum, very broad. And, you know, in most biblical books and studies, they talk about those that worshipped idols, like idol worshipping. You know, it's not necessarily worshipping a god or worshipping a spirit or worshipping the land or nature. It's worshipping some other stuff like materialistic things or like a person and all these different things. And it's like, well, when you look at people that worshiping deities, it's like they don't really have a faith, because those that believe in something strongly, it can't really be broken. You know, if you believe in your God, whether it's Jah, Hinduism, whichever it is, if you're a strong believer, you don't have to be 100%, but if you believe he's there and he's real, and you know, then you're not going to fall for foolish worship idols. You're not going to say, okay, I'm going to pick up this Rubik's Cube and pray to that. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Because that's literally what they're doing. You know, they come out with Kabbalah and all these different things and all these people, celebrities that are coming off with foolishness. And, you know, people are like cattle. If you're not a shepherd, you're a sheep, and if you're a sheep, you're cattle, and that means that you needed to be herded, you need to follow. And if there's not somebody that's going to lead the way, and it seems, as I said, that people they need to kind of gravitate to something, and the strong ones are the ones that can say, you know what, I shall not be broken, I will believe in this is what my foundation is, this is what I've been brought up on, this is what I believe in. And then you got others that will listen to hearsay, or, you know, they can easily be broken. They've grown up on this, but then they switch to this, that, the next. And you have to look at a person, an individual, and question their faith. Because if you started off born and raised as a Christian, and then you turn out to change and switch to be this, and then you switch to be that, and then you start worshiping something completely different, idol worshiping, then, as I said, you know, those kind of people, they have to look within themselves, because what is it that they're really following? What is it that it just seems like they're scared, they're weak, they've got no control over themselves. They need somebody to dictate, and that's where a lot of people are at. You know, they follow shit on the TV. Excuse my language. They follow celebrities and all these different things, when really they were brought up with teachings and culture and all these different things that they choose to ignore because of Western society or because of peers or because of whatever things people are telling them, you know what I mean? They choose to go side, they go left. I don't know what that's about, but it's a real thing, bro.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And some of these, like, you even got Zulus, they worship some type of alien looking thing. If you look at them when they do their rain dances and they got them big hats on with the paint and all them thing there, yeah. So it's like you got people that have been worshipping these things for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it's more likely to have some sort of confusion to it. You know what I'm saying? Yo, big up Latoya. I don't know if you can jump in, Latoya, but this is definitely up your street, this conversation.
See, another thing I noticed here, because before we decided to do the show, I was over on Illuminati having a talk over there about deities, and we've done a load of talks about these kind of things, as well as I was looking at some stuff myself, and I noticed some common themes that I didn't think were really being explored, if that makes sense. And I think one of them is the fact that when we're dealing with deities, they seem to be obsessed with royalty too and hierarchy too. Do you feel where I'm coming from? And this is why I say, in my opinion, there's more
not
than
even
likely.
Just that, though, Shifa. Not even just that, even in Hollywood.
That's right. Hollywood, you're right. Royalty,
music videos,
yeah,
you know,
all of that.
So what? So what you're trying to say? They're using these deities as an agenda?
Well, not even just that. I think it's what they're doing is following in the footsteps of previous deities. You know, because I think a lot of these deities, when we're talking about gods, a lot of the time we're talking about men and women. So if I look at, for instance, we could go Greek then. Let's say Greek deities or gods. They all look like men and women. And guess what? There's a hierarchy system. And guess what? It's a royal one. So you got a king of these gods. Do you feel what I'm trying to say? You got princes and queens, and do you feel where I'm coming from? So once I put that into perspective, it's like, are these just people that decided they were kings, that at some point decided they're more than a king, they're God, and you just can't do anything other than what they say, or they're going to enact? Or maybe they weren't people. And this is another argument in the sense of, when we're looking at these ancient deities, are these things or statues that look like people, people like us, or a different type of people, a different species of people? Do you feel where I'm coming from?
Right.
Or maybe not people at all. Maybe if it was biblical, we could say fallen angels. Mesopotamia, we could say Anunnaki. I don't know what they call them in Egypt. Hindu would be the Krishna and Vishnu and the rest of it. Do you feel where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Could that all be linked in that way? And then obviously, if I go through every single last one of those pantheons of mythology, am I going to find a system of royalty in every single one? And is it going to link to all of the monarchical systems of today to some extent, in some way, if I go and trace the footsteps to the first ones?
I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I know what you're saying, because they make up the monarchy as well. So 1 second, Shifa. Latoya, you're gonna have to come out. When you come on, you have to accept the microphone and the video, and then you can pull it before you come on to the show. You can mute it. So, but you have to accept the device, or it won't. Okay, just try it again. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And when we're talking royalty as well, we also got to talk in different countries as well. So we talk about that Vatican place. You got to talk. These days they come up everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah.
As for the monarchy, I think they made that up themselves anyway. But it's a type of bloodline, right? So where does the bloodline stem from? You know what I'm trying to say? So that's another story in itself. But yeah, it's something they definitely use a lot, and which they don't really talk about that much, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why people should say to themselves it's something that they should be researching. Latoya's done videos in the past, you know, of music videos pointing out these entities. They come up a lot in Megan Thee Stallion's videos. Still not working, Latoya. It says on here, you have to connect. It's telling me on here, Latoya, you will need to connect the mic and cam before. Even if you press mic and cam, it won't come up, Latoya, yeah? So, and then you can unmute it when you get on the show, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, and you can turn the camera off as well.
Yeah, you can turn the camera off, but you have to select it.
Yeah, you have to select it first.
Having device problems.
Yeah, man. I think yeah, like I was saying, when it comes to this whole system of monarchies, I just noticed that anytime I'm dealing with deities, I'm dealing with monarchies. Anytime I'm dealing with people who feel that they have a position over others, I'm dealing with royalty. So I thought there might be some connection there. In fact, I honestly believe there is a connection there. And I think in looking at certain aspects of, you know, the world we live in and technology, how it's evolved, where it's come from, where the ideas spring from, you know, I have to look at things I have to look at things logically, as well as I have to, you know, explore the what's the word, the impossible or the inexplainable. For instance, if I was to say in ancient Kemet, they had iron, yeah. But then we would say that ancient Kemet was built before the Iron Age. So how did they have iron? Do you feel where I'm coming from? So I think a lot of things like this would suggest that a lot of the technologies we're using, X, Y, Z, have been around longer than they say they've been around, for one. For two, what was I going to say now? For two, long story short, the pyramids, for instance, and certain other wonders of the world, certain structures that we've never been able to reconstruct. Yeah. When we look at the people there about those regions, and the Mesopotamia regions, for instance, you know, where the first languages are attributed to X, Y, Z, the first concepts that we could call deities X, Y, Z written down, at least. Once we go to these regions, we're going to realize that we have a lot of things that would suggest that there was another race of beings on the planet. And once we have, you know, more than one culture, because I got this from I heard another scholar who's a good debate scholar, who said, if you want to quantify a source, the best thing to do is find that information on one side of the world, go to the other side of the world and see if they've seen anything like it, and if they can quantify it, and if they can, if you can come up with the same results, basically. And the more places you can come up with the same results, it's like, for instance, if we talk about Alexander the Greek, or Macedonian, whatever you want to call him, yeah, and we go to Europe, and we understand from their perspective their stories about Alexander, they might just give us a romanticized version. But when we go and speak to the Africans, you know, and some of the other people who you may have conquered, they might not give you such a romanticized version. You might get a more wider view, a bigger scope, better scope of your picture. Do you feel what I'm trying to say? And then if we can go to Asia, and we can go all around these other places, and they can corroborate the same stories, then, you know, we can say that we've been accurate to a point. We're not absolute in anything, especially with history, but we can be accurate to a point where, you know what, we've done as much research and discovery as we can to confirm if this person did this actual deed or didn't do it. Because the Chinese say he did it, the Africans say he did it, the Europeans say he did it, and no one's in contention with it. You know what I'm trying to say? But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so long story short, with this whole race of alien beings, we can go to, like I said, Hindus then, yeah, and we can look at the Hindu, like what they call the Vermanas. They got spaceships and all sorts of things and weapons of mass destruction, and when you look at their deities, they don't look exactly human. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And they tend to be blue in color, X, Y, Z. Then we can go to the like for instance the Egyptian deities, which some people might even suggest aren't even deities, but when we look at the actual depictions of them, they don't look entirely human, and that they're depicted in giant forms and X, Y, Z. And then we can go to even like the Mayan, the Incans, whatever. They're going to talk to you about giants and giant other beings, X, Y, Z. Even when I was talking about the Hindu stuff before, I forgot to say, you've even got the as much as you got these flying machines and Brahmanas and weapons and whatever, you got these things where it's like what is it called, the spaceman, the mask, where he's got the tubes coming out of it, but then it's been depicted later on as like an elephant looking thing. And then it's like a lot of this stuff now, like when you watch like these movies like Aliens, and you got the Prometheus and all of these things, and then you got all of these, they go to this spaceship or whatever with the android and the people them, and then they find one of the things there, the big giant thing. Do you know what I say? And he just starts trying to murk them. I can't remember exactly what happens, but when I watch films like that, I believe that they're looking at these particular things. Like I said, the Hindu stuff, maybe the Egyptian, maybe some of the Mesopotamian, Anunnaki as well. I forgot to mention that as well. Anunnaki are depicted as giants as well. So once we can look around and see that they all got some type of similarities, is there a point where we can be conclusive and say these are the same beings? In all these different environments, maybe different sets of the same beings, even, who knows? What's your take on it, though? I'd like to hear from your perspective, because I know you're a brother who's got a lot of knowledge, and I know you deal with a lot of untapped information as well. So maybe there's some jewels you could drop for us. Talk to me.
Well, one thing I would definitely say is that we have depictions of deities on old caves and in Egypt, and like you said, some of them kind of depict the same things. The creature-like ones, they don't look like they're human, and that's probably where they get all this alien stuff from. And they use the alien thing on a different level as an agenda itself. Yeah. As we said already, it's in Hollywood a lot. Now, the thing is what do the people believe? You know what I mean? Do people have different thoughts on if they think they were real? You have some people that believe that some of them were real, hence why you've seen carvings and paintings of small people below their feet. And then you got to think about the giants that used to be here. So you got to sort of like combine all these different things that we've learned together. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, would you say like the deities, they're usually like kind of big, right?
Yeah, like, this is the thing. Either giant and blue or dark black, or even sometimes in some cases very pale as well.
Right. And like we were saying, they depict these things in certain things like X-Men, Avatar, certain creatures, you know what I mean? Have you noticed that mostly they're creatures? They've always got, instead of it being like Superman, now there's a lot of creatures and things like that.
Yeah, and a bit more animalistic.
Half man, half beast, basically.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like we were saying, are they, would you say they're real? Because we've done knowledge on giants.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that.
And what would giants be? Giants would be Nephilim offspring, right? But what you got to remember, there's a flip side of it. So a lot of people believe that the Sasquatch, for example, is an offspring of the Nephilim. Do you understand what I'm saying? There were certain beasts. Yeah. So I don't feel that all of the deities, like for example, there's a deity that has, all right, let me break it down like this. You know the one that's at the Hadron Collider, the CERN, yeah? That's a deity, but I don't think that actually, the woman inside the thing, I don't think it's real. I think it's a depiction of what they try to do. You know what I'm saying? What they're trying to do. So that would mean that that's a form of idolatry.
But in a way,
time,
then,
yeah,
you see what you said there, yeah, because I think that's a very good point to address as well. When we say idolatry, you know, in the sense of if I carve a statue of an image of a being or what I call a deity, whatever, and I worship it, you know, if I go into the Bible, for instance, you know, people were doing this and they were calling it their gods, you know, for instance, Baal or whatever, if you know what I'm trying to say, they were calling that thing that they'd carved God. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think what was I gonna say now? To that extent, can we unequivocally say that them doing that carving or whatever they're worshipping, that bull or you know that statue of a horned creature or whatever, a man, or can we literally can we rule that out as being a deity if it's being worshipped?
Definitely not. If it's,
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I didn't think. I agree with you. I didn't think that we could rule it out. I thought that's still a deity, but maybe you know, there's deities that aren't just stone figurines also.
Yeah. This idol worship has been going on for a long time. Even when the you know, the books were written, right? The commandments, you know, when he came back down, what was going on? They were worshiping golden calves. So this animal worship thing has been going on for a long time. Of you know, man-made idols. Maybe there was some different types of creatures on the earth because we can't really rule out the creatures, you know. Right? Say that dinosaurs were here, yeah. I personally think they're just overgrown reptilians, but they say dinosaurs were here. Look at some of the sea creatures. You understand what I'm saying? So when we think about some of the creatures that are on this planet, and then we go into the knowledge that we got of the giants and whatnot, can we really rule it out? We can't really rule it out. So maybe there was some of them were real, and maybe some of them wasn't real.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something now. With the knowledge that man's got of the Nephilim and the fallen coming down and messing with the women, that actually happens. You understand what I'm saying? So anything could be created. You understand what I'm saying? Different type of beast. I think personally, Shift, that some of the animals that are on this planet, I think some of them are created by God, but I think some of them wasn't. So
well, when you bro, I'll be honest, you see what you just said there. You're right, 100% for the fact that I think we spoke about this a while back as well. Remember the spider goats?
Yeah.
So those ones, you know, the original animal that God made, or the Most High made, so I say, was altered, and one DNA was taken from one creature and melded with the DNA of another and grafted into a spider goat.
Splicing.
Yeah.
But maybe the Nephilim done their own splicing. Maybe the Nephilim done their own splicing and made certain creatures themselves because they're trying to find. They're doing research themselves, right? You've heard of the Nephilim doing research themselves.
Yep.
And having certain technologies from. If you look at some of them carvings when they got the. You got the Egyptian people down below with the big lamps in their hand and these little handbags they keep walking around with that are supposed to have sound power and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of experimenting going on back then.
Yeah, I agree. As well as a lot of
look at the royalty, you know what I mean? I've been listening in, guys, but look at the royalty and the way they used to mix breed dogs, crossbreed or whatever you want to call it. So you see all these cute little dogs, but they've got like all sorts of problems, health problems. Their eyes don't open, or they can't breathe good, or like they've got dodgy heart problems before they even two, and all these foolishness. It's because that they've been bred with foolishness. Like a healthy dog, they've turned into a dog with all sorts of problems. And again, that was just due to the roles being bored and just saying, you know what, I want a different dog. I want a dog with like little legs and a long body. So they crossed whatever to make a sausage dog. Because no God would have made that dog willingly. That was a modified creation of man, not reanimating, but making things up.
Right. So there you go. So then that goes to show that man can do it because it's not is not an original. The pedigree is the original. So
of course. Now, if you're an animal, animals move kind of like tribalistic, innit? So they're gonna mess around with their own thing. Maybe if they sleep with the cousin, but it's still going to be a variation of themselves. But if you're going to turn around and make like a Chihuahua with a Rottweiler, like even if a Rottweiler wanted it, he's too big. He's never going to be able to breed that dog. It's not like they sleep with like human beings and like the little dog's going to start riding him. It don't work that way. So how they do their things there is how all these different crossbreeds come into play. Like an original British bulldog never looked like that. It looked completely different. Certain other dogs look completely different. Certain dogs have just been bleached out, where they've just wiped out the whole generation, where they made too many wrong Frankensteins and maybe had to put it down. It said, boy, that's the end of that dog.
Frankenstein.
But you know what I'm saying, though, isn't it? Like that's what it is. How can you have a dog that's born and you have to spend bare money to have operations on its eyes because it's got so much bags over its eyes now it will cause itself injury and go blind. So you've already spent like $2,000 for the dog. Now you have to spend another $2,000 for his eyes, and it's got a breathing problem. So now you have to spend the next how much for his breathing problem, all because it's like the in dog and it looks cute. When really you want a dog, like back in the days, you want a guard dog or a dog that's going to bite someone's hand off if they mess with you. But now you want a dog that fits in your handbag. You know what I mean? You want a dog that when it moves, it smells of roses or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't you feel it's a bit strange when times are getting worse, though? They want smaller dogs.
Again, it's all trend setting, isn't it? You got all people that will set a trend, and just it's like a setup for all these small-minded, weak people to follow.
And more to the point, brother, it's a setup for we're putting you into smaller boxes, so you're gonna need a smaller dog. And I was gonna say also, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Oh shoot.
But look at it like this. We was talking before about how you've got some people that are living in better circumstances, environments, or Western society compared to others. Now, you look at any child, you put them in a shop and there's only 2 sweeties in the shop. Yeah, there's A and B. There's no choice there. The child's going to be 2 minutes and he's just going to pick one of them and leave, isn't it? Like, that's it. But if you go into a shop and there's a whole heap of sweeties there, you spot for choice. Most kids are in there for a whole heap of time. It's only when your parents call you up and say, hurry up and pick something. Otherwise, you could be there all day, like thinking, oh, what one? This one, the sweetie round one, this one, that one. People are spoilt for choice. Yeah.
Do you
Because
think
there's too much options and there's so much this and that. That's why people don't know what they want to be. Yeah, they didn't learn the foundations and the cultures and hold on to anything. And now they're exposed to this crazy world that can say you can be anything you want. You can be this, you can be that. You was born a man, but now you can be a girl. You can do whatever you want. So people go bananas and they want to break out on it and protest and say that they've got rights to do all sorts of foolishness. Man.
But what if there's people who obviously you see that people like us, common people, or you know, the lower end of the spectrum, you know, we get a dog, that's our pet. What if we're someone else's pet and we just don't realize it?
Well, in truth, that's what it is, though. Unless you're some kind of bigger person, we all have to conform. We all have to play the rules. There's a rule system. Yeah, you left your mum's house or your parents' house because there was rules. Now you're big enough to live in your own house. You can apply your own rules. But that's a small space. That's a small domain. When you think of the world and society, if you mess up on the road, they'll lock you up. If you mess up on this, they'll do this. If you do this, they'll do that. There's rules. We have to abide by it. We have to conform. As much as we want to be individuals, we're all the same. We're doing the same stuff, innit? We work, we survive, we eat, we fart, we cry, we this and that, and we die, bro. It's the same thing, innit? Unless you bust and you do something else where you can put a little something and make the generations after you a little better. What is it really doing? It's not doing nothing, bro. When you break it down, it's not doing nothing. We're just a number. We're a statistic. We're just like everybody else, bro. It's just you that feels say you're strong and you're somebody else and you're this and that and the next.
Well, this is the issue, brother. In a sense,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that, Stu. I don't feel that everybody is the same on this planet. And the reason being is because there's different. We come from different places.
Of course, but when I mean it like we're the same in terms of society, how we're casted. Now we're all casted in different spectrum. You've got the rich and you've got the working class, and you've got the poor and whatnot. But we're all in a system, innit? We're in a box for a reason. If you was rich, you would be in their struggles, but you're not. You're in the working class or whatever class you're in. That's how you have to deal with it.
What would you class as rich? How do we classify rich? How do we get to that concept of, you know, someone being richer than the other?
Well, as I said, working class is working class. So being wealthier or being better off or being more comfortable or being more stable is completely different to being rich and being like well off. You know what I mean? You got fucking inheritance.
What do you class as rich? Like?
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you don't have to work, if you know, say you can sit down and do nothing, and you know, say that your family's good, your kids are good, this everything's good, then that must be in the eyes of the general what people see as rich. But realistically, if you look at another man that's not Western, he would probably have different values, and he would say, "I'm healthy, I'm eating well." My kids, my family, and think of wealth in that fashion, you know. But again, it's just how you look at things, isn't it? People look at life and think, I want, but they never actually think about what I have and value actually what I've got. You know what I mean? I've got my mom, I've got my dad, I've got my this, my pickly them, I got a roof over my head, or you know what I mean? We forget little things because you're too obsessed of what you want. Whereas the next man, as I said, in a different life, he might not be so fussed about the wants. He's not trying to keep up with the Joneses. He don't need a flash car because he live in the jungle. He just drive for a coconut, you know what I mean? He just live the land and he's just happy like that. Sometimes basic is much better than the complicated foolishness that we live in. Is it really living?
How do we separate rich from wealthy then? How do we define the two, one from the
other?
But
then that can only be your own definition, as I just tried to explain. If you're living in a different place, why would money be a necessity? You know, if you're living in a land of paradise and everything, food and fish and everything is there, why would you be concerned or even be thinking about the materials that we think about and classify as rich or wealthy? Why would you think I need a mansion when you're living on the beach side throughout it? You know what I mean? Why would you think I need money when you live in the land? You got fruits, you got food, you got everything you need. Why would that be something of value to you? It wouldn't, or would it? Would you dream about that and you're living in paradise? You don't need none of them things. I wouldn't personally. I would just enjoy my surroundings and my environment. But if you live in a different environment where you have to watch other people not work, or they might be influencers and they got big money and they got lovely cars and this, and you're breaking your back at a 9 to 5 earning minimum wage, then that might be something that you consider rich or wealthy, or something that is an idol or something you want to aspire to. If you think, oh, scratching a lottery ticket and I might win the big time, that might be something that you think it might be you one day. And
No,
you just
see
think
what you just said there, yeah? You see what you just said? Yeah? Like, I don't necessarily disagree with any of it, but I think that it more relies upon the society, like you said, the society you're within, being more beneficial to you not being within the society, in my opinion. Because I think no matter what the society you're in, yeah,
you have to conform. It confines you.
Well, before we say conform, I'm just going to say the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be registered and paying taxes. Yeah. You have to pay a tithe in it. So there's already a loss of whatever you can earn potentially in your lifetime. Secondly, you know, there's going to be requirements of that society that, you know, you're going to have to conform to, that might not necessarily be a necessity, but it might just be compulsory to the society. They just want you to do it. Like they might have a religion or whatever it is, and they just expect you to do it. And once we get into those realms, it's like if we had our own bit of land somewhere, and you know, we could secure it, and you know, secure our belongings and our families, and you know, the things we wanted to have secure. We could grow our own food, we could build our own house and knew how to make our own materials, XYZ, to do that. We would be wealthy. That would be true wealth. Do you feel where I'm coming from? Because
of course,
ultimately you're self-sufficient and you're not reliant upon anyone else.
One set people. Yeah, sorry. Latoya, you have to accept the microphone and the camera. You have to accept it. I know you're trying hard to jump in there still. I appreciate you. You're saying you have to, there's two buttons. When you jump, it says mic and it says camera. You have to press both of them. And when it accepts it, it mutes it. Yeah? Sorry, Shif, I'm just trying to help her out.
Yeah, so like I was saying, obviously, whatever natural resources or produce you could produce from that land, i.e. by farming XYZ, you know, if there was oil on your land, if there's gold, if there's whatever else, you know, you could class these as riches, but ultimately you're wealthy regardless, because you can continue to grow food from now until forever and be self-sufficient. And if you wanted something from someone else, you could use the never-ending produce you have to acquire it from someone else by giving them some of whatever you've got in accordance to how much, you know, it's worth in their currency. Do you think where I'm coming from? So I think that
look at the Ross man now. Them man there that go into the mountains and they spend months up in there and they come back like jet black. They just do their thing and they just live off the resources solely. You know what I mean? Like true Rastafari thing. Now, again, like if you're living pure and you're living a particular way, surely certain things that may affect or may be of interest in a Western world, it wouldn't apply to them, man. If you live indigenous, you don't even know about them things there. So why would your idea of wealth be anything remotely to ours? It wouldn't. It would be your own perspective of it, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. And that's not even talking as an individual. If you was a whole tribe living indigenous, you don't know nothing about money and you don't know nothing about medicine, none of them things. You just live the way you live. So your idea of happiness is just got to be basic things, isn't it? You know, you're happy that your family is cool. You're happy that your tribe is thriving and you got food and The kids are happy. Minor things. That's
I remember that old saying when they say, "Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Give him a fishing rod, you know, he'll be able to catch fish for him and generations of family."
Give man an inch, you take a mile, blood. That's the one I remember.
There's that one there as well. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you know, if a person's got a piece of land and is taught how to farm and how to, you know, produce certain raw materials to, you know, produce certain tools to be able to build a house, to be able to, you know, build a solar
people have been doing that, Schiffer. That's what I'm trying to say. People have been doing that. You got indigenous people that are doing that live that life for generations and generations. They ain't changed nothing. They ain't upgraded nothing. They can cook, they can build, they do everything.
Now, when you say they ain't upgraded nothing, yeah, like I'll be honest here, I was watching one thing. I'm trying to remember the people it was. I think it might have been like I think it was like Zulus or Maasais or something like that.
Yeah, no, I know what you're gonna say.
And
where they've had some Western influence of using lighters and certain things. Man don't want to bust the flint no more. It's like done with them things there. I see the cameraman light his cigarette, you know what I mean? that was light work. But I'm breaking a sweat, busting stone against the thing.
Where I was going with this is, if those people can utilize things like, you know, like the renewable energies, you know, certain types of technologies that make their lives easier, certain building technologies to make themselves a bit more secure without having to implement the outside the government, you know, we could then see how those people thrive. If they're thriving better than us, I bet there're going to be enough people that's going to want to go and live where they live. And you know,
the problem is with indigenous people, they're indigenous for a reason. The reason why we shouldn't go there is because us with our modern day diseases and our nasty self could just kill out the whole tribe by coughing or touching someone. Yeah. They don't have the immunizations and all sorts of foolishness that we have, and the bacteria and whatever else that we're bringing. So
since we're on that one, though, listen, let me just big up Zimbabwe still, since you're on that, yeah. Zimbabwe has come out with don't talk too much on this after, because this health thing is mad on the internet, yeah. But Zimbabwe has made a HIV pill, apparently. And that's what we're gonna say on that. But yeah, continue.
Well, I was just gonna say, as far as you know, people in the Western world, yeah, and like you say, like, you know, black people in the Western world, you know, being westernized, I think that's all part of a bigger plan, because, you know, the plan for me is that, you know, certain parts of the world, the land is dead, in it. Like, no one don't want to live there, in it. Hence, there's so much land that's not being used. And then the parts where the land is good, you know, like Africa or whatever, you know, people want to live there, but the people that's there, you know, you can't, without creating a humanitarian crisis, just remove people from their land or remove them from their resources. So, you know, at this point in time, they're just taking a different approach to the previous approach of war and atrocities, X, Y, Z. But it's still not, it's not exactly the same, but it's still the same outcome is what they're looking to, you know, to basically strip us of all our land and all of our indigenous rights, one world government, everyone's under their thumb, innit? You know where I'm coming from?
Then deities, yeah. And back to what Shifa was saying about these deities, if people don't know what they look like, or, you know, I'd like to play a little track called Saffron by Killer Priest, and some of these creatures you see in this video, some of them deities we're talking about. All right, check this one out. I'm going to play about a minute of it. Not going to play the whole thing.
You must gain balance within yourself.
I'll tell you what, the winter sun, Mars Stars. Silk, winter sun, yo. Mars Stars.
Tell me everything you know.
Silk, hallucinogenic power. When Shiva was born, the seed turned to milk,
yes,
and it snowed turmeric powder. One of her hands reached down and planted the Bodhi,
yes,
then handed out roti with chickpeas amongst the thick leaves. Sat the yogi, wearing big beads. Then here comes Jinnah, the enlightener.
Are you ready?
Smell the spice as she entered. She painted the tiger in stripes with henna, the oldest scrolls, called the Riga Vita.
That's right.
Hair was non-ether, bigger features.
Yes.
Near the golden monkey, the stone toad, and the salamander. Before Alexandria was conquered by Alexander. Where the gods with the bronze head met the beast with the blonde dread.
Yes.
Dalai Lama meets Brahma. They feast on non-bread. The Buddha was happy and chubby. Rubbed the belly, feel lucky.
Good one.
The gods got mean and turned green like mint chutney.
Moving on.
Romulus and Remus, the she-wolf gave birth to her puppy.
Yes.
A kid sat doing yoga, played with his pet cobra. He said, Father, I have no attachment. I am one with everything. The sky blackened.
Everything is
Then
connected.
came Vishnu from out of flying crystal. I Star Trek through Tibet. Landed down near plants and insects. Approached the orange-robed monk that sat in front of the monastery. The temple of forgotten vows. Of silence, sweat drip from my brow. I bow. Priest, return to Easter Island. Witness me coming down from a cloud. Holding the mic, hold back the crowd.
Yeah.
That was crazy still.
Yeah, man. So good discussions today still.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I enjoyed it still. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon. All right. And big up Logical. I don't know where he's gone, but thanks for your input. All right. So big up everyone in the chat. Hope you might have learned a little something today. We're gonna do a show maybe in a couple of days or maybe tomorrow. Again, it's Friday tomorrow. It's kind of busy.
Yeah. Friday's gonna get hectic tomorrow.
Friday's busy. Big up Crags One. Big up Helpman, J Money, Southeast Raised, Latoya. I'll give you a call in a bit.
Salute.
Salute. Shells Anna, big up yourself. And Annabelle Rash Trill, big up yourself. Keisha. Jedi, big up. Rascal, big up. Anya. Chris One Life, big up yourself. Double D TV, big up yourself. Big up OSG TV, BR Reality. All right.
Can I finish on one statement quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the main part of my narrative today anyway was, worship and deities, and I think we will have to really think about what worship entails and be careful where we're sending our worship, because if worship entails reverence, anytime we're talking about revering and reverence, we could be potentially worshiping something or someone, and I think we just have to be careful with where we're sending our energy to. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I think that's part of the bigger game of deities, to attract your worship, to attract those energies and to suck them from you. And I think that a lot of the energy we're outputting is not physically something we can see or even something that we recognize, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, did you hear? I meant to touch on it earlier. Did you hear about the Liz Truss? What's her name again?
Oh yeah, the Prime Minister.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
she was the quickest, like 45 days. She hit a world record, people. 45 days as Prime Minister.
Brother, as soon as she stepped, she was destined to fail. Like I don't feel sorry for her, because I can't feel sorry for anyone who does them type of jobs, but I think she was destined to fail, because the moment you stepped into office, everyone's bills are going up. Everyone's having a hard time straight away.
Yeah, man. Big up Ambition Radio. Late though, brother. I know it was there. I see. Yeah, no, definitely. So people, what we're gonna do, we're gonna shut it down now, because we're gonna try and keep the conversation to the point. You know what I'm trying to say? And J Money, we can touch up on all that again. You know what I mean? On this land and things like that. We can do that. But yes, people, blessings for all coming in. Big up Shifa.
Done now, fam. Salute, cuzzy.
Salute.
Hours tomorrow.
Bless.
the silence. Complex formation consists of spirals from gravity, geometric through magnetic cycles, macro to micro, or black scrolls of Michael, helical umbilical cords to spinal, crack codes of vital. Now, molecules at high altitudes begin to move, causing friction, sparks the flames, the particles, the water part, and got it fused. So hot it starts to brew. Within the relativity rules, the atmosphere begins to cool. A transplant without tubes, a surgery without tools. A city begin to build itself in the silence. Kingdoms construct themselves with science, and other atoms join into an alliance. A blueprint without guidance, highly evolved, ether gods agreed upon how to create kingdoms in the quiet. Solar flares, rays blaze the surface of Uranus, enter to Aquarius, unveiling the Venus, starships, the Sagittarius bow to the Virgo goddess. The 9 spheres is coming near. This is how silence created a forest. I came in and bulldozed all those in the game with a full load. Atoms attract like static form and get stuck like wool clothes. In 1982, I witnessed a strange crash outside of cathedrals with stained glass. Cars drove backwards, planes crashed, babies seemed to age fast. Darkness fell like gray gas, same technology that the grays have. The nimbus aura around the flying saucer. Between Earth and them, it's space and mass. From the blue globe to Pluto, to darkness travel through gray shadows, through the world probes that build castles, from astronauts to aquanauts, sun equinox, the fall tablets, the door to a labyrinth, the 4 horsemen, the Baphomets, the passages, the ghost tribe of most highs, seen through music notes in the sky. Silence forest. Computers and DNA, nanowaves, gamma rays, binary Milky Way, vibrating streams, Puma Punku. In Suma, there's a new moon. They construct their own kings. The earth is the queens, surrendering to the moment of still point, clairvoyance, anti-gravity field, a tower that a dragon helped build. First it was color, then sound discovered, then 3D and cinemascope. Panoramic tiny screen, sentences wrote, camera caught it, anamorphic, dual vision, you listen, a format pen, the artistry, cinematography, view sides, widescreen, high beams, that's what the eye seen. 56 minutes a day, stuffed up to gather this clay. The distance in which ones orbit the sun, dissolve all the oceans, it's begun. Spread your salt around the universe, listen to the silence of the forest. I'm in tune with the earth.